Hey guys, before we dive into today's amazing episode, I just wanted to share a free resource that we put together for you, the listeners of this podcast. To show my appreciation for you joining me on this beautiful journey to unleashing a life and a business of abundance, I put together the Millennial Mastermind Toolkit. This is a guide of the top 15 resources that I've discovered or been introduced to by guests, mentors, the mastermind group, or just stumbled across in my own journey. As you all know, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I've really narrowed it down through the thousands of hours of my own trials and tribulations to bring you this curated guide of books, podcasts, and mobile apps that have really made an impact on my life and my journey. You can find it at millennialmm.com/toolkit, where you can go ahead and grab it for free. So head over there, download the guide, and get moving towards your goals.
Be prepared to embrace failure, and don't look at failure as a bad thing, and don't let it make you lose your confidence and vision, because if you have a strong vision and a burning desire, failure is a good thing because it puts you to the next season, and you will achieve that burning desire. You will achieve that vision if you embrace failure.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the Millennial Mastermind, the personal development community for entrepreneurial millennials looking for the tools, tactics, and inspiration to create a business and a life of abundance. Today, I am very excited to welcome my friend Cole Stegman to the Mastermind. Cole is the founder and CEO of Zaka Life, a health and wellness company motivated to empower health-conscious consumers by way of organic, premium, full-spectrum hemp and CBD products. He is also the co-founder and CEO of IA Hemp LLC, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit here. But Cole, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. You know, the sun's out, and I've been really looking forward to this time. So thank you.
Yes, sir. No, I'm pretty pumped to get into the weeds here. No pun intended. But I think that we're going to have a great conversation. You and I got connected through our mutual friend. Shout out to Ashley. And we connected a couple weeks back, and within 2 minutes of talking to you, I was like, yeah, Cole's got to be on the podcast because we've got a really interesting conversation here, and just being in the space that you're in. And then also you have a really powerful mindset around how you approach business. So I think there's a lot to cover, but to get things started, just to sort of set the record straight for some of us who aren't as familiar with the industry, can you give us a quick 101 lesson on CBD? Because I hear, a lot of people out there talking about this. You see it on the news. There's a lot of questions around regulation and things like that. Some people are thinking cannabis, but those are not necessarily the same things, and oftentimes are not. But you work specifically within the hemp space. So can you give me like the third grader's explanation of how the industry is set up?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the biggest differences that starts this off is the whole stigma, marijuana is marijuana. And that is just not true. We've been lied to basically all our life. And so there's a plant called hemp, and typically grown in Cannabis sativa L. And basically it's differentiated from marijuana by its THC levels, meaning less than 0.3% of THC on the Cannabis sativa L would be classified as hemp, and anything over would then be classified as marijuana. CBD, or cannabidiol, is just one of the cannabinoids or phytocannabinoids, meaning plant cannabinoids, that are in the hemp plant. There's over 113 of those awesome cannabinoids, but CBD is the one that everyone comes to hear about. The whole big thing behind it is CBD was basically made for us. All the cannabinoids were. We have what's called the endocannabinoid system, which starts in the GI tract or the immune system. And basically we have CB1, cannabinoid receptor 1, CB2, cannabinoid receptor 2, that are in our brains that actually crave and need these cannabinoids. And the ECS regulates the bigger portion of our bodily systems. So, you can see why a lack of cannabinoids in our foods for so long, and the stigma given to us from, upper agencies or entities, has made us all deficient, even animals. And so as the cannabinoids or CBD or hemp has entered the market and really exploding, that's why you're starting to see the seizures eliminate, cardiovascular disease, blood pressure, cholesterol, all those things are starting to be regulated naturally. And that all comes down to the ECS and cannabidiol.
Wow. Yeah. It's very interesting space. And like you said, just based on stigmas and really prehistoric laws at this point, there's just such a lack of knowledge around it. So I'm glad we can get together and have this conversation. But what led you to get into this hemp game and get into the business of it?
Sure, absolutely. So, when I was younger and I breached into middle school, I grew up in North Denver, a town called Arvada, and I didn't have the very best upbringing. The whole separation, dysfunctional, alcoholic kind of lifestyle that my parents chose to live, which led me to find value or acceptance in the things that were not so good then, right? So I breached into the cannabis world on the marijuana side very early in age, ended up giving that up. I just didn't like the whole thing about it. But ever since then, and leading up to 11 years ago, I just always had this love, passion, desire, and fierce vision of the hemp plant and cannabis in general. And I knew that somewhere deep inside, even though it wasn't that prevalent 11 years ago, that this was going to be the future of healing. And so, long story short, it did. And so when CW and Realm McCarring was basically the face of CBD with Charlotte Fiji, I started doing side donations, and I would purchase CW Hemp's, plant-based oil there, and I would seek out sick kids, sick individuals, and I'd donate it. With that, gave me a passion to where I started using it a lot, many different oils at that point. But, as I grew up in this dysfunctional lifestyle, I mentioned to you, my parents also always had me on, many different meds, seeing different psychologists, that whole world. But then when I started using this and accustomed with fitness and a better lifestyle mindset, I was able to get prescription free and have been for 5.5 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Just hearing those benefits that you experienced. And then what led you? So you were doing a lot in terms of helping people to access these supplements that otherwise they wouldn't have access to. You were donating a lot, but then what led to it becoming more of a business?
Absolutely. So on the side of doing this, fast forwarding from 5.5 years ago up to, let's just say, 2.5 years ago, prior to that, I ran a life insurance firm for low-income individuals. Did very well. I loved that job so much, and I would go back in a heartbeat if I ever had to. But on the side of that, I also imported a plant called kratom from Indonesia. And I also help addicts, people on heroin, opiates, alcohol, cocaine. I would donate this stuff. And that translated into a side business called Ground Up Botanicals in Denver. And with that, I still donated the full spectrum hemp oils and even some other CBD products. But then 2.5 years ago, I basically got word that I could go to Iowa, of all places, to take over the whole state for my insurance firm. So I did, and I moved my entire family out here. But the minute I hit the ground, something felt like there was a reason that was much larger. And come to find out, I'd start hiring my managers around Iowa, but I still donated and sold some of the other products on the side to help people. Well, that took off, and I got a kid off heroin about 7 days after moving here. And from that, I said, there's something here. So I talked to my girlfriend at the time and mentioned to her that, I don't know what's going on, but every time I go, to try to help people with cremation and burial, it's pushing back. And I was good at that. So I came to a decision. We were sitting on the floor, and I said, that's it. I said, this is going to be a business. This is what I've always been made to do. And we're going to help millions and millions of people by love, passion, and hemp. And basically, I retired from the insurance, had $500 to my name, sold washer and dryers to pay bills while I built this in my bedroom, moved it, built a warehouse in my garage. And then, rest is history from there.
Wow, that's crazy trajectory and just story of how that whole situation unfolded. And what I love, though, is that you are so driven by your passion for the benefits that this plant can add to the world, and that is really just being overlooked by so many folks right now. But the other side of that is just that you're really pushing the needle forward within this industry. I know that you're doing a lot of work with the government, and especially in Iowa, but also last time we talked, you were getting ready to head out to Congress to lobby for it in front of them. So what's it like operating in an industry that is really in its infancy in terms of the regulation and public awareness and understanding component?
Absolutely. And going back a little bit to the first part of this, when I launched, people thought I was crazy because I had very little money and I was trying to go after this. And basically what I did before I even launched a product a year later was build SOPs, seek out attorneys. What do I need to do? Call numbers that no one else would call, because I knew that this was a lifelong thing. And I wanted to make sure that the foundation was strong. And I always never lost sight to a house built on rock will stand. And I still stand by that. So yes, I seeked out, those kind of entities, and then recently went on to Iowa Cap Hill to talk about Hemp, and really just reaching out. We are now on there as lobbyists. And so that's amazing. What it's like is, I have to praise the way that I was raised. It took me a long time to forgive my parents, knowing that they only did the best that they knew how. And today, I forgive completely of them, and I love them, and they did do the best. But because of that, and because of the hard stuff that I endured, especially losing both my mom and my dad, I think it built a strength in me that led up to the points now. Because, in an industry that is so confusing, with regulations to the state, to marijuana is marijuana, and all of that, we fight people all the time, meaning, FDA audits, emails from CDPHE, all of that. But see, I like to reach out to them and set meetings, just like we did. We just got our approval on our food manufacturing in Colorado, because it's what needs to happen. There's a market out there that people don't know this or have the means to do this, or when failure starts to happen, they fade out. And so it's very difficult, but for me, because of my life that I grew up, it's been a good difficult, meaning that I can get past it, even though it may be hard. I wake up the next day with the same saying: a house built on rock will stand. And the passion that I see from people when they have tears in their eyes from something that I did, reached out to them and did, or went and met them and talked and listened to their life story. I mean, that in itself, I'll never stop.
Well, I love that. I love that phrase, a house built on rock will stand. And I think it's evident across your business. If anybody goes on and checks out your website and starts to look into your products, it's very evident that you're only using the best stuff that's out there and very high quality ingredients, and really stand behind that and stand behind your products. What's your philosophy when it comes to quality and things like the development of new products and such?
So that was another big thing that I've always been on, and my team's on, and bless all their hearts. I wouldn't be here without them today. But from the grow, from the seed all the way to the end user, or from soil to hope, as we say, we make sure that there's no heavy metals, and shout out to my friend, Josh, who has been a big part of this as far as the oil standpoint. And, to this date, it's the only one we can find that has zero heavy metals, pesticides, and all the stuff that's there. So our standards are very much so lined up with the Food and Drug Administration, are very much lined up with CDPHE or any other health department or ag. And we're constantly reaching out to that, because there's a gap that has transpired where in the supplement world, it is very unregulated, in the sense that the FDA can't monitor all of it. And so most of the stuff on the market is either an isolate, which is not not very therapeutic to the body because it's lacking all the other cannabinoids, or it's, people that just don't care. They're in it for the wrong reasons. And so we lab test 3 times before we, put the product down. We do batch records. I mean, you name it, we do it. Everything is recorded. We can trace back. We can trace forward all the way from when we started and all the way into products. Basically, we formulate our products under one roof. I built many of them, and then I started letting my team have insight and building theirs because it's that family atmosphere I want everyone to be a part of. So we really praise ourselves from not white labeling or reaching out and using other people's products, so that we know when that product is ready to go on the market or the website, that what we say on that label is not only FDA compliant labeled, but it's also a product that we're saying it is. And we know that it's something we would take that is safe for us, so it's safe for you.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point that you guys didn't just go out and white label something that is already out there, because that is probably the easier route, I would imagine, by far, to take an existing product and then build a brand around it, and then maybe go out in the future and start to actually come up with your own formulations and source the product on your own. So what was that? Was that just the easy decision right off the bat that you knew you wanted to go that route, or was that something that really took some deep thinking to come to that decision?
Well, I've always played around. I've always been creative. I wasn't very good at school in the sense of everything else but art class. And even all the way from making music in my Denver days and all of that stuff, I've just always been creative. And I've made lotions and things like that in the past. So it was like, it came natural to me to say, have an idea and execute it and seek USA, organic ingredients and just make it that way. Cause that's what Zaka means, is purity in Hebrew. And so, I just got to say it came easy. Now it's not easy on every product, because one of the other things, going back to our foundation of quality, is, shelf life stability testing. That's unheard of in our industry. I mean, our oil is approved up to 2 years and remains its consistency. Products that I formulate, the ingredients, I want to make sure that they have shelf life stability. And yeah, it just, and then when ideas come in amongst the team or the consumers out there, it kind of goes into my brain among all the hats that I wear, and then just kind of formulates this vision. And it's the vision that drives me and helps me execute it in a way that's, extreme quality.
Well, let's talk about that vision a little bit, because it's pretty obvious, again, if you visit your website and take a look at some of your materials, that you are a very vision and mission-driven company. So what is the mission or the vision specifically for Zaka Life? And are those two separate things in your mind?
In my mind, they're two separate things, but as our actual on paper and how, we preach to the team and how we are as a family, our mission is, we're fully committed to supporting health and bringing hope with organically grown hemp products. And we're also passionate about changing lives. And then that's why we say from soil to hope, because it's our mission and calling. And so in the midst of all that, the vision is with hope, faith, love, and hemp, we will reach millions of people and give them the opportunity to break the broken chains that they have been told or are living in, also to the other spectrum of healthy athletes and all of that.
Nice. I think that that's an awesome vision that you guys have for the company. And it just gives you a North Star to really follow as you're facing the complexities of a business. And, we were talking before we hit record here, growing teams, hiring new people, taking off some of those hats off yourself and looking for people to help you. So I think that's got to play a key role in that as well. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what should consumers be thinking about, just to get onto the educational side of this a little bit, when they're looking to buy some hemp products, or they've been told about the benefits of CBD oil, and they know it's something that's out there, and maybe they've gotten something from their local Whole Foods before, but they don't really know what the differences are. Are there glaring things that somebody who's new to these types of products that they should be looking for?
Absolutely. So the main things that you want to look for is, first of all, the company and the source. And you want to make sure that that product, not just the company, but that individual product that you are choosing matches a batch number on the COA provided by the company. And they, if they are, a strong foundation, they will provide that to you. And you want to make sure it's a full COA. And what you want to look for on there is either a broad spectrum profile, which means all of the cannabinoids and terpenes minus the THC, or a full spectrum product, which is all of the phytocannabinoids, terpenes, and then THC that's less than 0.3, which is the best form for therapeutic value inside of the body. And so it's the COA.
So sorry, just to slow down for a second, what does COA stand for, and where exactly would somebody find that piece of it?
Absolutely. So COA is Certificate of Authenticity, meaning that batch or that product has been fully lab tested.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then typically, a company might have it on their website, but if they don't, like a majority of them, then there'll be a link or a guidance contents to email them, and then they should get it to you right away.
Got it. Perfect. And I know that one thing I really like about how you guys approach it is you don't look at your hemp products as a one size fits all. Here is the product that is going to cover everything you need. You have that for just general health purposes, but you sent me some samples that included a PM gummy that was specifically for helping you sleep better, a daily health and wellness, as well as a few other specific a balm to help with topical pain, things like that. What is the approach that you would recommend for somebody who's kind of new to this as well, in terms of how they look at products? That should they get something that's more of a general CBD/hemp full spectrum type product, or should they look for something more specialized like what you guys offer?
Yeah, so that's where one of the biggest difficulties come inside of our industry, and especially as the founder and CEO inside of Zaka Life is, we do not promote health claims, treat, diagnose, prevent any disease. So it's very difficult because we obviously get a lot of calls about that. Where do I go? What do I do? And so on the form of talking to someone about anxiety or cancer or all of that, we cannot, entertain that conversation in its full. So basically, it's very simple that as far as the capsules go, we just say start with the ZL750, which is the 25 milligram. You want to try one at night, try one in the morning. Now, the amazing thing, Brad, is that the ECS and cannabinoids, they actually register together. They work with the body. So when someone tries that and then tries in the morning, 99% of the people quickly understand what their body needed, whether that was less from the cap, more from the cap. Is it morning? Is it night? And then everybody's different, obviously. So some people might use it a couple times a day. It's just hard to say. As far as the creams and the gummies, obviously the gummies are designated towards, a better sleep, a better overall wellness while you're resting. And then the balms, topical for anything. We have people from that just had knee surgery that use it because the morphine, tapered off and tolerance didn't work well anymore. All the way to the athletes that, are pro workouts and, they're using it on their muscles and their nerves for soreness.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the nighttime gummies, that stuff works. I took some of those, and best night of sleep that I've had in a while. So I'll stand by that product all day long, as well as the other ones.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we're about to launch the AM gummy. I've been formulating it for about 5 months, and that'll be out in the next 30 days. So I'll have to send you some of that as well.
I love it. So you've gone through quite a journey to get to the point where you're at today, between the insurance business, moving to Iowa, really making that difficult decision to go full-time in this business when you had nothing in your bank account, and just working off of faith in this vision that you had for this business. So you've collected a ton of wisdom over the years. Is there one piece of advice that if you can hop in a time machine and go talk to yourself you're the younger version of yourself who was even prior to launching or start getting involved in the insurance business, maybe when you were still, in the high school time frame of your life, is there a piece of advice you'd give to yourself then?
Absolutely. First thing that came to mind, I would tell myself then, as I would anybody, that be prepared to embrace failure, and don't look at failure and don't let it as a bad thing, and don't let it make you lose your confidence and vision. Because if you have a strong vision and a burning desire, failure is a good thing because it puts you to the next season, and you will achieve that burning desire. You will achieve that vision if you embrace failure. And that is definitely the number one thing I would tell myself.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that, because those challenges that you face and the failure that you ultimately overcome is where you see the most extreme growth. Is there a specific point in your journey that really comes to mind when you think of that embracing failure piece?
Obviously there's many, but specifically speaking, I mean, I would have to say the FDA audit. To this day, I think we're still the only hemp company that were visited in person, and it was 6 days long, and it was nerve-wracking. I know that I worked my butt off to have, SOPs and all this stuff that we had, and batch records and certifications. But, they were here 6 days, and every day it went on, it was just like nerve-wracking. And they came up with 6 things in the 483, which is the completion when an FDA does the audit. And they weren't actually that bad, but it kind of gave me a sense of failure in the fact that, man, I didn't get it all. One of them was an SOP on the actual way to wash employees' hands. And I guess that's a small failure feeling, but to me it was, almost like, how did I miss that? And so it's like those times where the world tells people, give up. Oh, you didn't make it the first time. It's not meant to be, but that's a lie. And so that was one of the times that first comes to my mind. Of course, there's a lot of them in my life. I mean, I just keep it right there.
Yeah, no, as with me, and as anybody who's listened to this podcast for a while, they've seen those and listened to those in person. So, where can people go to find more about you and really check out what you're doing over at Zaka?
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing is ZakaLife.com. You can go on there. My story's on there, and then a lot about us, our visions, our missions, our products. The other thing too is I still stand by this. We don't have an 800 number where you have to press 3-4 times to get a hold of anybody. I still talk one-on-one with anybody that wants to have a discussion, whether it's about life. Yes, I sell and create organic hemp products, but the bigger part of that too is I like to sit down with people. I like to learn about their story. I want to help them in any aspect that I can that's reasonable for, their time and my time. And so they can get a hold of me at cole@zakalife.com, or also through zakalife.com under the contact tab.
All right. Beautiful. That's super generous of you. And if anybody really wants to go deep, I recommend having a chat with Cole. He is a great dude who is willing to share anything about his business and his life. So it's super generous that you're offering that, and we appreciate it. Cole, I also just want to say thank you for coming on the show today, sharing your journey and all that you've gone through and where it's led to, because it really is inspiring to see the growth that you've seen, and coming from what some people might consider a challenging childhood and having such a positive outlook on that, and really being able to see how that's created you into the person who can be really an influence for positive change in the world today. It's awesome. So thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. And a big shout out to God. Without him, I couldn't do this, and my team and my family. And thank you so much too. And I wanted to leave you guys with a gift as well. Anybody that is listening to this, starting today all the way to April 4th, we're giving our biggest discount ever, 25% off any retail product on ZakaLife.com. And you just enter Mastermind 25.
Beautiful. Well, we'll have that. That's awesome. I recommend people go utilize that and take advantage of that offer because there's some great products on there. So check it out, guys. I know you won't be disappointed. And Cole, thanks for connecting.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys. And thank you, Brad. Have a wonderful day.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Cole Stegman. As you could tell, he's just an awesome dude. And I just wanted to quickly update you that he extended the offer dates on that code he mentioned because if you're paying attention, April 4th has already passed. So he actually bumped that out to April 22nd of 2019. So if you want to head over to zakalife.com and enter code MASTERMIND25 to get that 25% off. This is the biggest discount code that the company has ever offered. So I would highly suggest you take advantage of that and get yourself some of these awesome full spectrum hemp products. All right, guys, enjoy, and I will catch you next week.